This is the second leg of the river service from Barangaroo to Cockatoo Island. So, as mentioned in the first leg, this is by far the longest Sydney ferry trip that you can undertake, for the time being anyway, unless they do something else. Um, but what I forgot to mention in the first leg was this video did take me, or this sequence did take me, around 2 days to film. And just because the ferry service does tend to stop um, just a couple of wharves short of Parramatta due to the tides. So the real time aspect isn't as applicable in this ferry service as the other services I have taken and uploaded already. But in terms of the real time journey of each leg, it still remains true to form. So I haven't done any time lapse or anything here. So just leaving Barangaroo now, headed west towards Cockatoo Island. So I filmed this in the afternoon, and it's quite nice because this is where you get the sunset views. And we're now passing Nawi Cove, or the Bark Canoe Cove. There's a story of, in this year's Vivid anyway, at the Maritime Museum on how they showed bark canoes were the main forms of travel for the indigenous tribes that lived around Warang or Sydney Cove. So as we head west, we will be passing Goat Island, and there's that seagull there on the bottom right that I suppose was just riding the thermals created by the ferry, and we are following a boat ahead, so just to avoid the wash. And that is Goat Island before us, and it's also called Memel. And it's quite a big island compared to Shark or Clark Island. As you can see, some of the structures there, some Georgian structures from early colonial days, because it does provide a good vantage point and the views are lovely. So that's just one of the aspects as I pan around Goat Island, and there will be more because the ferry does go around Goat Island unless there's strong winds, and then they go the other way. But you can see some of the Georgian architecture there. Massive fig tree. And I've never been on the island, but during one New Year's Eve, they opened this island to some ticket goers, and they were all waiting at the wharf to get on board the ferry at Barangaroo to get on the island just for New Year's Eve. So there are some events that allow you to explore the island, but as I understand it, they are planning to return this back to Indigenous owners. Now, passing this big, massive bushland is Balls Head Reserve. And as with anything on the harbour, just trying to ensure that some of these green space can remain in public viewing. It's always been a battle. So that's Berries Bay, looking towards Blues Point Tower. And this again is Balls Head Reserve. As you can see, it's wonderful views from here after you pass Goat Island. And Balls Head Reserve is really a gift to the citizens of this city. And as you can see, this is what it could look like if it weren't preserved for the enjoyment. And that's Balls Head Bay on the right, and Gore Cove is coming up. And what's distinct about Gore Cove, as you can see, there it is the shipping there. So that's when you know that's Gore Cove, because the ships go there, the oil tankers go there. Quite a big site, and I still wonder how they managed to fit under the bridge, I suppose during low tide. Now, we are passing Greenwich. Now, these are Greenwich baths, and during summer you can swim there. Just check for the water quality at Sydney Water, but This has been there for a while. So dotted along the river, there were all these public baths, but due to industry and all sorts, the water got polluted, so people can't swim there anymore. But this part of the harbour is still relatively clean, and there is a movement towards opening or reopening those public baths again along the river. You may notice the familiarity or the familiar names, Greenwich, Woolwich, and you would have Henley further west. And this recalls how Parramatta River was supposed to be like the Thames, and Parramatta was supposed to be the city like London, but instead Sydney grew up around the harbour instead of Parramatta. But you will see how Parramatta City is well constructed compared to the tracks of Sydney. This is Greenwich Point Wharf, is currently under construction. So since they privatised Sydney Ferries, there has been an agreement where, there is some construction works, some reconstruction and refurbishment of these public ferry wharves. Sydney Ferries were the jewels of the crown, so hopefully for the time being it won't go the way of British Rail and all sorts of shenanigans go on as a result of price gouging. But anyway, this is Greenwich Point. So it's a smallish suburb on the shores of Lane Cove River, and there is a ferry service that goes up to Lane Cove River, up further reaches, as you can see on the bend there. And there is Woolwich Wharf, but that Lane Cove River service isn't manned by this yellow and green Sydney Ferry services that we are used to. I think it's on by Captain Cook Cruises, but hopefully I'll be able to take it one day and upload it here. Now this is Clark's Point Reserve at Hunters Hill, so a wonderful picnic spot. And on the other side there is Kelly's Bush, which was the scene of some public protest to ensure it remained a parkland and not developed. And this is Cockatoo Island Wharf.